Should you be using social media to fill your mobile home park, RV park, resort, campground? And if so, how should you use it? How do you actually do it? You know, there's a lot of talk out there about ideas that you can use, but how do you actually do it and what should you avoid doing? Well, that's going to be the focus of today's video. And this video is part of the 7-step RV park marketing plan, which, as you might guess, works equally well for mobile home parks and campgrounds and RV resorts. So let's start out with, should you be using it? Well, there are some statistics that you might be interested in that will really answer that question. So if we look at small businesses, right, let's just represent that by a graph. Well, approximately 87% of small businesses say that social media, just fumbling with my markers here, say that social media helps with their business, with generating customers. So that's a lot, right? 87%. That's according to Vocus Media. So what are some other figures that might be interesting? Well, companies that get 1,000 likes, and if you've seen Facebook, you know what the little like symbol looks like. I'm terrible at drawing it. But companies that get 1,000 likes report getting 1,400 daily visitors to their website. And obviously that's going to vary a little bit depending on what's going on with your Facebook page, if you have a Facebook fan page. And we'll go over that and how that works. So that's according to HubSpot. And HubSpot's put out some other interesting figures as well. And that is, if we look at business owners, 40%, so let's just represent 40% here, a little less than half. Okay, 40% of business owners say that it's helped with referrals. Help their referral business. So people spreading the word, which kind of makes sense, right? If you're on a social media platform and you've got a bunch of people talking and your messages are kind of reminding them about your park, then it's just a reminder to them to refer it to a friend. And finally, there's a very interesting statistic, right? So if we look at all the internet users, okay, we represent that by 10 people. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, we've got these 10 people. Well, social media reaches 8 out of the 10 people. And they spend an average of 23% of their time online. So almost 1/4, right, of their time online is spent on social media sites. So that should answer the question, you know, should you be using social media to try to fill your park? I think the answer is you should. However, there's some ways you want to do it and there's some ways you definitely don't want to do it. So we're going to get into those next. Okay, so how do you not want to use social media? Well, social media is a little bit different than traditional advertising, right? It is a way to advertise your park, to put it in front of people, to get people to talk about it and to think about it so that your park is top of mind, right? So when they're thinking about taking a trip, when they're thinking about, you know, getting out of town and relaxing, or if they're just looking for a place to live, it's fresh in their mind. But there's some do's and some don'ts. So let's cover the kind of the concept of the idea behind social media and what you don't want to do. So social media is not like a used car lot, right? Where you've got an annoying guy with a microphone. Just draw a little horn there, right? He's basically shouting at people. I mean, I'm sure you hear these used car commercials on the radio, right? And meanwhile, The people that you want to attract, right, they've got their ears covered because they just can't stand all the noise, right? So that's not what social media is about. It's not about, direct advertising. Okay, it's more of an indirect way. So if it's not, like this, then how is it? What's it like? Social media is kind of the proper etiquette, and the way to think about it is it's more like one of two things, okay? One of them might be, a newspaper where there's all these interesting stories and things to read about, right? So they're kind of human interest pieces, right? Things that people find interesting or want to know about. And then another way to think about this is, let's just draw a little room here. Nice window, tree outside, maybe some artwork on the walls. Okay, so what is this? Well, this is a party. Okay, you've got different people and they're standing around. Maybe they're having some drinks. Right? You've got all these people. This guy, I think, prefers a beer. Right? But she's more of a cocktail person. She's got her martini going. Right? So it's more of a party, and people are standing around and they're talking. And you wouldn't go into a party, right, if you had something to sell and just pitch it. You wouldn't just keep pushing it on people, right? Like, here's ad number 1, here's ad number 2, here's ad number 3. No, you'd talk about interesting things, right? You would talk about experiences, for example. So maybe you're this woman right here, you're talking to this guy, and you're on Facebook, and you're talking about, maybe your wonderful camping trip, right? How much you enjoyed it, and how happy you were. Maybe you're roasting some marshmallows, right? You're talking about experiences. You're talking about events. You're talking about interesting things that have happened. And then this guy over here is thinking, hey, that sounds pretty good, right? I've got an RV, I haven't used it in a little while. I would love to get out of town, right? Take the kids, and, says, hey, where did you go? Which park did you go to? Oh, this is the park I went to, right? It's a great park, blah, blah, blah. And refers that park, right? So it's talking about experiences, it's sharing like events and activities and fun things that happen at your park. So let's talk about that and some of the things that you can share on a site like Facebook and how you would set that up, right? If you don't have a Facebook fan page, for example, already, or a business page, how would you do that? So let's say that you have a website right now, but you don't have a Facebook fan page. Maybe you do, but we're just gonna start from the beginning, okay? So what you can do is, if you're reading this on sendmoreleads.com, below this is a full explanation, and you can see in this blog post all the different things on how to set up, for example, your Facebook account and what to do. And this whole thing is part of the 7-step RV park marketing plan, which is free and on Facebook. So if you're not already part of that, I highly recommend you go to sendmoreleads.com, look for it, subscribe to it, you get it free, and then you get all the information for this. But basically, you go to Facebook, and Facebook, has a place where you can create an account. If you already have an account, you can set up a page just by going to, you'll see at the top, it'll say home. You just go to that and you click page. But if you don't want to be on Facebook, if you just want one for your business, down here below where it says create an account, there's a little text link. And it says basically like create a business page. Well, you go there and you do that, and then you set it up as a local business, okay? And in that process, they're gonna ask you, a little bit about your business. So in the About section, right, make sure you talk about your park, right? So you want to talk about the park name, campground name, the location, maybe nearby attractions. And that way, when somebody's searching, it'll pick up on these things. So if they're searching that location, they'll find your site. Or if they're searching some of those attractions, there's a good chance they'll find your site as well. So then once you've set up your page, what do you talk about on your page, right? You're gonna have this blank page, and you don't wanna push all this advertising on people. You wanna start conversations. So we're gonna talk about what you can talk about that has been very effective on Facebook. Okay, so let's say that your park is a destination park. In other words, it's in a tourist area, right? So you have your RV park here, right? And there are attractions around you, right? So maybe you have the Grand Canyon, right? Or maybe you have an amusement park. Well, in cases like this, these guys are doing all the advertising for you, right? So people are coming in, they're coming in their, maybe they have their pop-ups. You've got somebody else in a motorhome or an RV that's coming in, right? And they're coming to see these attractions and they need a place to stay, so they end up going to your park. Well, if that's your situation, then you probably have a situation where if your season is this long, these months you're probably relatively full, right? Because people are coming to see the attractions. However, what you really need to focus on is the beginning and the end season, right? What are you going to do at the beginning when you open, and what are you going to do when you end to keep people there? So let's talk about some of the things that you can do to bring tenants. And this works equally well, if you don't have these, if you need it all through the year. But some of these promotions I'm going to talk about work very well if you need to fill the bookends of your season at the beginning. Okay, so it's helpful to know why people are coming to your park when you're thinking about what you're going to talk about. So one reason that people will want to come to your park is for fun. Right? Some people may want to get away and relax. Right? They want to get away. You may have people that want to live there year round, right? Or all during your season. So you have these different categories, and that helps to consider what you're going to post on your site, right? These people are looking for something fun to do. These people are looking for something relaxing, right? So if you have a lake, or if you have something in your area that's fun to do, you might post photos and stories about that, right? This guy's fishing over here. If they want to be there year round, well, what are some of the things they want to do? Well, maybe they're a golfer, right? You want to talk about golf in the area and other things to do in the area. Maybe you want to talk about local restaurants or mention some of the employers. So this kind of defines what you're going to talk about if you know why people are coming to stay at your park. So some of the kind of interesting, human interest things that you can do is, let's say that you have a particularly slow time at your park, either the beginning of the season or the end of the season, or some other period during the year. Well, what can you do? Well, how about creating some special events for them? So you might do something along the lines of, customer appreciation. And you break out the balloons. Terrible balloons, by the way. You fire up the barbecue grill hamburgers or hot dogs for everybody. Maybe you have a giveaway, right? Every hour on the hour, you're going to give something away, maybe from your store, right? If you have a store, maybe something related to camping. Could be technology prize. You give away, something cool, watches, iPods, different things. And of course, you want to photograph this whole thing, right? You want to take pictures of everything. So you end up with all these photos of happy people, right? Maybe they're eating their hamburger, balloons in the background, right? Different things. And you can post these kind of stories that paint these pictures in the mind of the people that are on the page of how enjoyable, how much fun it is to be part of this, to go to something like this, right? And it's a specific deal. So maybe you have a discount during that particular block of time when people come for customer appreciation days, right? Or maybe the attraction is just all of the things that you're going to give away, and the sense of community that's going to be created, right? Because one of the reasons people like to go to these parks, if they don't live in their unit year-round, or even if they do, is to network, to talk with people, right? To make friends. Where would you rather go? Would you rather go to a park where you don't know anybody and you're just isolated? Well, maybe if you're getting away, right? But more than likely, it's nice to go and have neighbors that you like and to talk to people. And a great way to create that sense of community is through an event. So you can create an event to do that. Now, another thing you can do, which is definitely helpful during slow times, is to do an event where, let's say, we'll just draw a police car, okay? You've got a police car and the sirens are going. All right, you've got a policeman here. And maybe you've got a fireman, right? They put out houses that are burning down. They do a great job. We're definitely thankful for those people, right? Maybe you've got a military base nearby or military personnel nearby, right? So we're definitely thankful for those people. So you do a customer appreciation day, but you do it for service people, right? Right? People we want to say thank you to. And oftentimes these people have very close relationships with the other people that they work with and will spread the word, right? So if you have a, let's say a slow season when you know you're not going to be filling some spaces, so you're going to have, 10 or 40 spaces vacant, right? Why not offer those spaces at a discount and spread the word through Facebook and through social media, talking about, your customer appreciation days for service personnel, and you give them a big discount on their space. And that's a good way to bring people in and to spread the word. I mean, you could put this on your website, and you should, but how's the word going to spread, right? How's it going to get out there? The fact that people are spending their time on Facebook really, they spend up to 23% of their time on social media sites. That's where they're going to see your message. That's where they're going to become aware of this, right? And start to spread the word. So what else can you do? Well, you can create some events that create kind of a sense of community for different communities. So there are people who are interested in stargazing, right? They like to go out and look at the stars. There are people who are interested in, knitting. All right, they've got their needles going and their big ball of yarn, right? These people like to look at the stars. There are car clubs, right? And they like cars. So maybe we've got a 32 Roadster here. Doing a terrible job of drawing this, right? And they want to get together and see these cars, right? So you can put on different seasonal events where you're focusing on these different groups, and you want to book groups into your RV park or your campground. And you can talk about those things on Facebook. And you can go to their pages where they have fan pages, all right? Because there are groups like this on Facebook. All you have to do is when you're on Facebook, there's a search bar at the top. You know, search for car clubs, search for knitting, stargazing, anything you can really think of where you could put together kind of a special event for them. If you have a clubhouse that you can set up, and have a special event. If you've got an area where they can look at the stars, or an area where they could set up their cars and look at have a little car show, maybe with a contest. Maybe you feature the prizes, or you do hot dogs and hamburgers and drinks, and you can get some additional revenue from concessions doing something like that. So there are a lot of different ways to promote your park on Facebook, but you can see that it's not really a direct ad. It's not saying like, come to our park, right? You should stay at our park. It's more of interesting things for people to talk about and to share. So, the car club people will share a story like this. Your service personnel days, right? They'll share that with their friends, and that will bring more traffic to your site. So that is how you can use social media to get more people to your park. Now, another thing you can do is create feelings and emotions in the viewer, right? The person who's looking at your Facebook fan page. So if they're sitting there in a in a cubicle in a box working on a computer, right? Not very happy, right? And they see of your park these photos, with maybe a lake or maybe golfing, right? Maybe people in the swimming pool. Maybe you have a funny shaped swimming pool, right? And they see all these people standing around smiling, having a good time, or events at your park where there's a bunch of people around, right? And you're grilling hot dogs and hamburgers, and there's balloons, right? And it's just a good time. It starts to create these feelings, right? And you may put some text with the pictures like, now's a great time to get away. Now's a great time for a vacation. It's a beautiful time of year here at the blank RV resort. And these are the kind of things that you can share on your page that will really get people going. There are a number of other things and very effective ways you can use social media. You can use it to build an email list by using contests. And that's really a little too in-depth to go into, and there's some legal things you got to make sure you do right. But social media can really help you increase the amount of referrals that you can get. It can help you get guests to come back and stay with you again because they're connected to you. So that brings me to the final point, which is when people come to your park or to your website, you want to encourage them to like your Facebook page, for example. So if you have your website, right, and it's got your standard stuff on it, maybe a form where they make a reservation or opt in, it's a good idea to put a little Facebook box here where they can like your park. When they come to your office, right, they pull up in their unit to check in. You could say, hey, are you on Facebook? Do you use Facebook? And they're like, yeah, we use Facebook. And you're like, oh, great. Well, here's a slip of paper. Would you mind liking our page? We share a lot of events and things that are happening here at the park or the resort or the campground. And we'd love to keep in touch with you through Facebook. Right? So you have to encourage people to like you. They're not just going to find you on their own in most cases. Sometimes they will, but it really helps if you ask them to like you. So like your page. So that is how you can use social media. Now, video is also considered to be social media, YouTube. YouTube's owned by Google. It's the second largest search engine online, but they allow you to comment and do a lot of things and have social interaction. on YouTube, but we're going to cover that in another video that's part of the 7-step RV park marketing plan on how you can do that. Now, if you would like more resources on how to market your park, how to fill up your park, how to really create a great experience for your guests or for your tenants, then just go to sendmoreleads.com, and there are a lot of resources there that will help you fill your park. You know, a lot of the things that I talk about in these videos are things we have done in our test park. You may not have realized this yet if you haven't got your copy of the free 7-step RV park marketing plan yet, but we have a test park. You know, I don't believe in pushing a lot of these ideas out on parks or onto clients until I've tested them internally, or unless I just know they work from friends in the industry. And we test a lot of these things on our own park. So we share a lot of those resources at sendmoreleads.com. And the first step to get started really is to have a review of your website. So we have a service where we go in and we look at your existing website, and we do it on video. So we record a video, right? This old movie projector. We go in, and a park marketing expert looks at your website and sees it through the eyes of a tenant, right? And sees what you need to do both on your site, off your site, right? So on the internet, what kind of presence you have online. And we look at your competition so that you can figure out where to position your park. Let's say these are parks A, B, and C, and you want to make sure that your park is positioned top of mind so that people will go to your park instead of your competitors' parks. Well, how do you do that? Well, that starts with a video review of your existing marketing, your online site, and your competition, and then we can figure out how to position you.